Last night I was reading through the Working the Program section of A Gentle Path Through the 12 Steps, which is a book by Patrick Carr. It's a very famous book now, and it's also accompanied by A Gentle Path Through the 12 Principles, which is an awesome book. But there was one thing we read that I know that addicts in recovery have a lot of trouble with, and that's certainly asking for help. And a big part of this introduction, Patrick talks about the impact of childhood trauma, and coming from either rigid family systems, addictive family systems, or chaotic family systems which don't grow the ability to be intimate. But one of the things that we really have to overcome is being able to ask for help. And in recovery, if we have been injured and have trust issues, trauma trust issues, then that can really get in the way. So there's a piece here that is a paragraph I want to read, and I thought I'd just do a little non-Movember video on it as a recovery tool. And Patrick writes, "One major obstacle you may need to overcome as a new member is a reluctance to use the telephone. To feel comfortable only when talking about serious issues face to face limits your ability to use your consultants." And by consultants, he means your sponsor, peers, mentors, and therapists. Addicted people are not good at asking for help in general, and they will resist using the phone even at the most critical times. Thus, they stay in their isolation. Using the phone can become a habit. At first, it serves as a crisis hotline, and as recovery progresses, it becomes a tool for maintaining and deepening intimacy. Some program veterans hold on to their phone phobias and still put together successful recoveries. They are rare, however. Many groups urge newcomers to get a phone list and make practice calls from the start. More recently, members are using email and social networks to share and get support, although it's important to use the public sites with caution to preserve anonymity and privacy. I know early on that a guy, Wayne H., I'll keep his anonymity, gave me his number at a 12-step meeting that he chaired the meeting, and that night I needed to use it. And I didn't know, the next night, that I just left detox and I was home, and I was really distressed back in the family home, and my brother-in-law was having his birthday party. My parents were consumed with that. I'd just come out of detox. I would be usually drinking with them, and I felt pretty on the outside. And my mother came in and she sort of said, "Look, is there anyone you can call?" And I'd already been to a 12-step meeting since leaving detox, so I'd done pretty good. And I had this number. And I remember ringing this guy, and my best thinking was, there's a meeting in King's Cross, and which is sort of one of the sort of nightlife capitals. It was a long way from Cabramatta where I was living, and it was at midnight, and I figured, well, maybe I'm meant to go there, which would have been a pretty risky and dangerous thing to do at 6 days clean. And I rang this guy, and he said not only did he put my mind at ease, he changed my perspective on my whole day, because he said, "Look, you've got out of detox today, you've gone to a 12-step meeting already, and then you've gone home, and now you've rang someone, another member that you don't know." He said, "You're doing great." And I had no idea, because how I was feeling, I thought was how I was doing. And he said, "You should go to bed, you've had a great day, and get up tomorrow and do another meeting." And so I did. I got up and did Burwood 9 a.m. And I think that sort of planted the seed just how important calls are. And today, 35 years down the track in recovery, I was talking to a guy this morning I met in a Christian men's retreat. We've become real brothers from another mother. But regularly I ring guys I've been ringing for 30 years, and new people in my life too. But now, you know, those early calls I made, I still ring those guys, and we know each other's whole lives now. So if you're new, or like it says, an old timer that's just struggling, maybe if you're an old timer struggling to ring, check out some of that maybe unconscious trauma that just means that safety issue comes up, and see if there's any sort of support you could maybe get to short circuit that, so you can get the support that's on offer. And yeah, if you're new to the meetings, man, it doesn't really matter. If I was drowning out at sea, I put my hand in the air, and if they've got a lifesavers cap on and they're running towards me, I'm going to take their support. And early on, if there's someone's put their number on the list, that's like that cap on the guy's head. Just ring the number. Some calls would be better than others. It doesn't matter. It's an act of humility, ego deflation at depth. It's me learning to practice intimacy. Not every call needs to be a groundbreaker or a lifesaver. We can call to practice. And I remember my first sponsor used to tell me I need to call him because he knows how to call people. And I was a bit affronted by that, but I got the lesson. It was that he knows how to ring people. He has learnt that skill. I hadn't yet. So he said, you need to practice calling me. And I heard on a tape once by a guy called Wesley P. that if it's big enough to bother you, it's big enough to talk about. So yeah, I hope you have a good recovery day. If you need help, call. You know, Patrick says three things, Patrick Kahn says three things lead to relapse. One is dishonesty. So in those calls, I need to talk about those awkward moments. I need to avoid those promises to self, those private deals to self. That I need to know what I'm powerless over in my first step, and I need to know where my unmanageabilities are so I can have a really solid first step, so I know what I'm calling about. And in my addiction, cycle of addiction videos, I talk about try and call when you've got some impaired thinking or core beliefs triggered. Try and call when you're in that objectification, fantasy, or scanning. And definitely, if you're on the edge of rituals, reach out, you know. And the third thing is that we need a really strong recovery program. In the SLA How, Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous How program, they talk about making 3 phone calls a day, also and 1 to your sponsor, so 4 calls a day. It's a big ask, but it's a life-saving skill. So I hope this has been useful. Take care, be gentle with your heart, and I'll keep seeing you on the recovery road somewhere. Bye.